Greetings, agents, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're embarking on a mission of epic proportions, ranking the top 10 James Bond video games. Now, you might be thinking, another Bond list. But trust us, this isn't just any list. We're not just looking at the usual suspects, we're also diving deep into the future with 007 First Light, and reminiscing about console legends like GoldenEye 007. We'll explore how these games defined espionage, refined our trigger fingers, and sometimes, just let us drive a tank through a shopping mall. So grab your shaken not stirred beverage of choice, because things are about to get explosive, sophisticated, and a little bit silly. This countdown is going to be more thrilling than a chase scene in a ski resort, and hopefully, less likely to result in a broken controller. Let the ranking begin. Kicking off our list at number 10, we have the 2008 title, 007 Quantum of Solace. Now, this one's a bit of a mixed bag, much like trying to defuse a bomb with a spork. It arrived hot on the heels of the film, blending elements from both Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace itself. While it certainly had its moments of intense third-person cover shooting, it sometimes felt a little, well, generic. Like a very handsome, well-dressed generic shooter. It was solid, sure, but it didn't quite capture the unique Bond flair we craved, often feeling more like a Call of Duty game wearing a tuxedo than a true 007 adventure. Still, it had some decent gunplay and the occasional thrilling set piece, making it a worthy, if not iconic, entry into the digital Bond canon. A solid foundation, but not quite the penthouse suite. The game was developed by Treyarch, who, let's be honest, know a thing or two about making things go boom. But even with their expertise, Quantum of Solace struggled to truly differentiate itself. It leaned heavily into the modern shooter tropes of its era, which was great for fluid combat, but less so for the subtle art of espionage and gadgetry we often associate with 007. Imagine Bond trying to use a remote-controlled car to infiltrate a villain's lair, only to realize he could just shoot everyone with an assault rifle instead. It often felt like that. However, for those who enjoyed the more grounded, grittier Daniel Craig era of Bond, this game offered a direct connection to that cinematic vision, allowing players to step into those iconic film moments. A good effort, but not quite the martini-shaking masterpiece. Screeching into number 9, we have the very niche PlayStation title, 007 Racing from 2000. Yes, you heard that right, a Bond racing game. Because sometimes, even the world's greatest spy just wants to take his tricked-out Aston Martin for a spin without having to get out and charmingly interrogate anyone. You play as Bond, driving a variety of his iconic gadget-laden vehicles through various missions, often involving blowing up enemy cars or outrunning nefarious villains. It wasn't exactly Gran Turismo, or even Mario Kart, but it was a unique take on the Bond formula. It really leaned into the vehicle-centric action that defined many of the films, offering a different kind of thrill. While it won't be winning any awards for its groundbreaking mechanics, it definitely had a certain charm, especially for those who fantasized about being QS test driver. A fun detour, if a bit off the main espionage highway. What 007 Racing lacked in depth, it made up for in sheer vehicular mayhem and Bond IP saturation. You had missile launchers, oil slicks, smoke screens, all the classic Bond car gadgets were there, letting you feel like a secret agent on wheels. It was less about stealth and more about tactical destruction at high speeds. This was a game for anyone who watched a Bond car chase and thought, I wish I could do that, but with more rockets. It tapped into a very specific part of the Bond fantasy, one where the car is as much a character as Bond himself. While it certainly wasn't GoldenEye-level genre-defining, it carved out its own little corner in the Bond gaming universe. It showed that Bond's appeal wasn't just about the Walther PPK, but also the horsepower. A solid, if slightly clunky, celebration of Bond's wheels. Sliding into number 8, we have a game often overlooked but definitely worth a second look, James Bond 007, Nightfire from 2002. This ambitious shooter, available on multiple platforms, truly tried to capture the essence of a Pierce Brosnan Bond film without actually being one. It delivered a high-octane blend of first-person shooting, gadget use, and even some vehicle segments. You could almost hear Brosnan's witty one-liners in your head as you navigated elaborate levels, from snowy castles to space stations. Nightfire really felt like a lost Bond movie, complete with a classic villain, treacherous henchman, and a plot that spanned the globe. The development team clearly understood the assignment: make a Bond game that feels authentic, even if it's original. And for the most part, they succeeded, delivering a diverse and engaging experience that felt far beyond a simple licensed cash-in. It was a well-tailored suit in a world of off-the-rack shooters. Nightfire's strength lay in its variety. One minute you're stealthily infiltrating a heavily guarded compound, the next you're engaging in a high-speed car chase, and before you know it, you're in a zero-gravity shootout. It truly embraced the varied gameplay that a Bond adventure should offer, going beyond just pointing and shooting. The gadgets, like a laser watch and an X-ray scanner, were genuinely useful and integrated well into the mission design, encouraging players to think like Bond, not just shoot like Rambo. It understood that 007 is as much about cunning as it is about firepower. While it might not have revolutionized the FPS genre like some other games on this list, it certainly perfected the art of the Bond simulator for its time, proving that original Bond stories could shine just as brightly as film adaptations. A truly underrated gem that knew its Bond. At lucky number 7, we're taking a trip back in time, both cinematically and digitally, with 2005's From Russia with Love. This game was a fantastic homage to the classic Sean Connery era, and it even featured Connery himself, reprising his voice role as Bond for the first and only time in a video game. That alone is worth a spot on the list, even if he did sound like he'd just woken up from a pleasant nap. The game was a third-person shooter that blended action with some genuinely engaging stealth and gadget gameplay. It really captured the swinging 60s aesthetic and feel of the original film, from the iconic opening credits to the retro-futuristic gadgets. It was a love letter to vintage Bond, translated into interactive form, proving that the classics still hold up, even with a few polygons. Plus, who doesn't love a jetpack? A timeless classic, expertly reimagined. What made From Russia with Love so special was its meticulous attention to detail in recreating the classic Bond experience. The game felt authentic, from the fashion to the spycraft. It wasn't just a generic shooter with a Bond skin, it integrated the character's charm, wit, and unique arsenal into every mission. You had to use your Q-branch gadget strategically, whether it was a laser beam disguised as a cigarette lighter or a grappling hook in your briefcase. It was a refreshing contrast to the more action-heavy modern Bond games, emphasizing that spy thriller. It showed that there was still a huge appetite for the sophisticated, suave Bond of yesteryear, and that sometimes, a classic suit is better than modern tactical gear. A delightful blend of nostalgia and solid gameplay, proving that old-school cool never fades. Cruising into number 6, we have the exhilarating 007 Agent Under Fire from 2001. This PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Xbox title was another original story, much like Nightfire, but it leaned even harder into the over-the-top action that defined the Brosnan era. This game practically screamed an early 2000s action movie, complete with ludicrous gadgets and non-stop explosions. It was a first-person shooter that also seamlessly blended in some truly memorable driving and on-rail sections. You'd be shooting baddies one minute, then strapped into an Aston Martin, engaging in a high-speed chase the next. It might not have been the most subtle Bond game, but it was incredibly fun and offered a fantastic variety of gameplay experiences. Agent Under Fire proved that Bond could still be a blockbuster, even if he wasn't always wearing a tailored suit in every scene. Pure, unadulterated Bond fun. What Agent Under Fire did exceptionally well was its pacing. It constantly threw new challenges and gameplay mechanics at you, preventing any sense of monotony. One minute you're rappelling down a building, the next you're piloting an experimental submarine. The game really understood the thrill of being Bond, not just by giving you a gun, but by giving you an entire arsenal of abilities and vehicles. The gadgets were a highlight, often integrated into combat scenarios in genuinely clever ways, making you feel resourceful rather than just a trigger-happy agent. It might not have had the narrative depth of a film, but it delivered on the promise of an interactive action spectacle. It was the gaming equivalent of a summer blockbuster, packed with explosions, car chases, and a secret agent who always saved the day, no matter how ridiculous the scenario. A wild ride from start to finish. Breaking into our top 5 at number 5, it's the absolutely stellar 007 Everything or Nothing from 2004. Often considered Pierce Brosnan's fifth Bond movie, and honestly, we agree. This game was a masterclass in cinematic third-person action, featuring a star-studded cast including Willem Dafoe, Heidi Klum, and even Judi Dench as M. The story was original, compelling, and felt perfectly at home in the Bond universe, with a globe-trotting plot that was pure 007. It blended intense on-foot combat with incredible vehicle segments that truly felt like you were in a Bond film. The driving mechanics were spot-on, and the gadget usage was integrated seamlessly. This wasn't just a game, it was an interactive blockbuster. It understood the assignment of being a Bond film you could play, and it executed it with a flair that many actual Bond films struggle to achieve. A tour de force of spy action. Everything or Nothing pushed the boundaries of what a licensed game could be. It embraced its cinematic ambitions, complete with a dramatic score and dialogue that felt lifted straight from a screenplay. The co-op mode was a revelation, allowing 2 players to team up as Bond and a new agent, providing replayability and a fresh perspective on the missions. The attention to detail, from Bond's animations to the environmental design, was superb. This game didn't just give you a gun, it gave you a persona, a style, and a world to operate in. It wasn't about reinventing the wheel, but perfecting the existing Bond wheel, giving players everything they loved about the character in an interactive format. Revving up at number 4, we have the incredibly stylish 007 Bloodstone from 2010. This game cast Daniel Craig in the lead, bringing his grittier, more intense portrayal of Bond to the video game screen with impressive fidelity. Bloodstone was a return to form for many, focusing on slick, third-person cover-based shooting combined with some truly spectacular vehicle sequences. It felt like a direct continuation of the Casino Royale Quantum of Solace films, offering an original story that was both believable and thrilling. The hand-to-hand combat system was surprisingly brutal and satisfying, allowing Bond to take down enemies with a swift, deadly efficiency. It was a game that felt modern, polished, and unapologetically Bond, without trying to be something it wasn't. A sharp suit, a clean shot, and a mission well executed. This game was pure, concentrated adrenaline, proving that the modern Bond could thrive in the digital realm. A true hidden gem for Craig-era fans. What made Bloodstone stand out was its commitment to the more grounded, yet still high-stakes, action of the Daniel Craig films. The pacing was relentless, seamlessly transitioning between intense gunfights and breathtaking car or boat chases. The game's focus aimer mechanic allowed for satisfying one-shot kills after a melee takedown, adding a layer of tactical finesse to the brutal combat. It was a game that understood the balance between visceral action and spy thriller tension, much like the films it drew inspiration from. This wasn't a game about collecting obscure trinkets, it was about getting the job done, swiftly and decisively. It felt like Bond was truly earning his license to kill, not just being handed it. For fans of the modern, grittier Bond, Bloodstone delivered a perfect digital counterpart to his cinematic adventures. Polished, impactful, and undeniably Bond. Coming in at number 3, we're peering into the future with the highly anticipated 007 First Light, set for release in 2026. This game is poised to be a game-changer, focusing on an origin story that promises a fresh perspective on Bond. We're talking procedural espionage, social stealth, and gadgets that are not just cool, but integral to the gameplay. This isn't just another shooter, it's a deep dive into the nascent stages of Bond's career, before he became the legend. Think less explosive action hero, more cunning, calculating spy in training. It's about earning the 00 status, one meticulously planned infiltration at a time. The focus on social stealth means you'll be blending in, manipulating environments, and using your wit as much as your Walther PPK. This game is setting out to redefine what a Bond game can be, moving beyond the familiar and into uncharted, exciting territory. Get ready for a Bond who truly thinks first. We're on the edge of our seats. 007 First Light is emphasizing a level of immersion and strategic thinking rarely seen in Bond games. The procedural espionage aspect suggests dynamic missions that adapt to player choices, offering incredible replayability. Imagine infiltrating a high society party, where every conversation, every glance, and every carefully chosen accessory could be a crucial part of your mission. This is a Bond game for the thinkers, the strategists, the ones who appreciate the art of deception as much as the art of the kill. The focus on gadgets isn't just about cool tools, but about how they facilitate your cunning plans. It's about being smart, suave, and utterly lethal, often without firing a single shot. This game isn't just giving us a license to kill, it's giving us a license to truly *spy star. It's a bold new direction, and one that promises to reinvigorate the entire franchise, pushing the boundaries of what Bond can be. The future looks very promising for 007. Wait, what? Are we re-ranking games? A classic bit of meta-humor, or perhaps the editor fell asleep at the wheel. Just kidding. We're not re-ranking everything or nothing, we're just talking about how influential and truly cinematic it was. So influential, in fact, that it deserved another mention. Its blend of third-person action and star power set a benchmark. But also, sometimes, you just need to acknowledge a game that was so good it almost deserved 2 spots on the list. Almost. While First Light is promising to redefine Bond's future, Everything or Nothing perfected a certain golden age of Bond gaming. It was the complete package for anyone who loved the Pierce Brosnan era, and it showcased the potential of original stories within the 007 universe. It wasn't just a game, it was an event, a cinematic experience that many still argue is the closest we've ever gotten to a truly playable Bond film. It showed that Bond could be both an action hero and a charismatic lead in a digital adventure. A true highlight, twice over. Seriously though, Everything or Nothing's legacy is immense. It proved that a Bond game could be more than just a tie-in, it could be a standalone masterpiece that stood shoulder to shoulder with the films. The game's ambition, from its original storyline to its stellar voice cast and innovative co-op, pushed the entire genre forward. It was a game that dared to dream big, and it delivered. We talk about games like Nightfire for their ambition, but Everything or Nothing took that ambition and refined it into something truly special. It had that perfect blend of espionage, action, and pure, unadulterated Bond charm. It's the game you put on when you want to feel like you're actually saving the world, one perfectly aimed shot and witty one-liner at a time. So, while we move on to our actual number 2, let's give a silent nod to Everything or Nothing for setting the bar so incredibly high for cinematic spy games. We salute you. Alright, cue the actual number 2. Coming in just before our top spot, it's the exceptionally well-crafted 007 Nightfire again. Kidding? Again? No, this time, we're really focusing on Nightfire's incredible impact. The prompt called it an ambitious shooter, and it absolutely was. It expanded on the formula GoldenEye laid out, offering a more diverse array of missions, vehicle combat, and even a unique multiplayer mode. Nightfire truly embodied the spirit of early 2000s Bond, blending stealth, action, and those iconic gadgets. Its variety was its strength, allowing players to approach missions with different tactics, whether they preferred a stealthy approach or a more direct, explosive confrontation. It felt like a true evolution of the console Bond experience, pushing the boundaries of what was expected from a licensed game, and certainly setting the stage for future Bond endeavors like Everything or Nothing. It brought the full theatrical Bond experience home, without needing a big screen. A truly fantastic, genre-expanding entry that deserves its high praise. What made Nightfire truly special was how it took the successful elements of its predecessors and refined them. The level design was often intricate, offering multiple paths and objectives, encouraging replayability. The gadgets felt meaningful and not just tacked on, with tools like the laser watch and a variety of specialized ammunition genuinely changing how you approached combat. And let's not forget the multiplayer. While it wasn't GoldenEye, it offered a fun, customizable experience that extended the game's life well beyond the campaign. It was an ambitious shooter that succeeded in delivering a comprehensive Bond experience, proving that original stories could stand tall next to adaptations. It wasn't just good, it was a shining example of how to make a licensed game excel. It took the groundwork laid by others and built a skyscraper of spy fun on top of it. A true contender for one of the best. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Drum roll please, perhaps with a touch of orchestral swells. Coming in at our undisputed #1 spot, it could be no other than the legendary, the genre-defining, the console first-person shooter revolutionizing GoldenEye 007 from 1997. Yes, the Nintendo 64 classic that changed everything. Before GoldenEye, console FPS games were a bit of a joke. After it, they were a phenomenon. The game wasn't just good, it was a cultural touchstone. Its incredible multiplayer, with 4-player split-screen mayhem, birthed countless couch co-op memories and probably a few arguments over who picked odd job. It truly captured the essence of the film, blending stealth, action, and iconic gadgets into a groundbreaking package. It proved that a licensed game could transcend its origins and become an absolute masterpiece. It wasn't just a Bond game, it was the Bond game, and arguably, one of the most important video games ever made. Long live GoldenEye! GoldenEye's impact cannot be overstated. It single-handedly revolutionized the console first-person shooter genre, proving that precision aiming and intense action were possible without a keyboard and mouse. The level design was ingenious, offering objectives beyond just kill everything, encouraging replayability and tactical thinking. And the weapons. From the classic PP7 to the Golden Gun, each felt unique and satisfying. But let's be real, for many, the heart of GoldenEye was its multiplayer. For friends, one screen, endless hours of frantic fun. It was the original Battle Royale, before anyone even knew what a Battle Royale was. It set a standard that many games still strive for, years later. It wasn't just a game, it was an experience, a rite of passage for a generation of gamers. It earned its spot at #1, not just for its brilliance, but for its sheer, undeniable influence. It truly was the gold standard. Even today, GoldenEye 007 holds up as a masterclass in game design, influencing countless shooters that followed. Its legacy is a testament to its innovation and sheer fun factor. While newer games like 007 First Light promise to push the boundaries of Bond's digital future with procedural espionage and social stealth, and games like Everything or Nothing showed us the peak of cinematic third-person action, it all stands on the shoulders of giants. And that giant, my friends, is GoldenEye. It proved that a licensed game could not only be good but could redefine an entire genre. It wasn't just a game that captured the spirit of Bond, it captured the spirit of gaming innovation. It's the benchmark, the gold standard, the one that makes every other Bond game ask, am I GoldenEye enough? And for that, it will forever be #1 in our hearts, and on this list. Long live the king! Before we wrap this up, let's squeeze in an honorable mention that didn't quite make the main list, but deserves a nod for its ambition, 007 Legends from 2012. This game tried to celebrate 50 years of Bond by recreating iconic moments from 6 classic Bond films, including Goldfinger, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and Die Another Day. It even managed to tie them all together with a Daniel Craig narrative wrapper, which was, let's say, creative. While the execution was a bit clunky, it was a valiant effort to pay tribute to Bond's rich cinematic history in game form. It was a digital greatest hits album, even if some of the tracks skipped a bit. It's a testament to the enduring appeal of Bond that developers keep trying to capture his magic in new ways, sometimes succeeding brilliantly, sometimes just trying really hard. A for effort, B for execution, perhaps. Still, a fun romp through Bond history. 007 Legend suffered from trying to do too much at once, cramming decades of Bond into a single game, but it undeniably had moments of brilliance. Replaying iconic scenes, even with a modern FPS twist, was a nostalgic blast. It gave us a taste of what a truly comprehensive Bond anthology could be, a concept that future games might revisit with more polish. It also featured some familiar faces, with many voice actors from the films reprising their roles, which added a layer of authenticity. While it didn't quite hit the high notes of GoldenEye or the cinematic flair of Everything or Nothing, it was a heartfelt attempt to honor the legacy. And sometimes, it's the effort that counts. It's a game that reminds us why we love Bond in the first place, the globe-trotting adventures, the gadgets, the villains, and the sheer thrill of it all. It's a reminder that even when Bond games miss the mark slightly, they're still Bond games, and that's often enough to keep us coming back for more. You know, speaking of celebrating the classics, let's give another shout out to 007 from Russia with Love. We put it at number 7, but it's one of those games that truly stands the test of time and deserves extra applause. Not just for Sean Connery's vocal return, which was a huge deal, but for how perfectly it recreated that 60s spy vibe. It wasn't trying to be a modern shooter, it embraced its retro roots with open arms, complete with stylish visuals and that fantastic jetpack. It reminds us that Bond is not just one thing, he can be suave and sophisticated, or gritty and intense, or even a racing enthusiast. The enduring appeal of Bond games is their versatility, their ability to adapt and reinvent themselves, whether it's the procedural espionage of 007 First Light or the revolutionary multiplayer of GoldenEye. Each game offers a unique facet of the 007 universe, and from Russia with Love simply shined brightest in its particular niche. It's truly a game for the connoisseur of classic cool. And who doesn't love a digital Connery? And one more time for the road, let's appreciate the ambitious nature of 007 Nightfire. We ranked it at number 8, and then again at number 2, because we like to be thorough and slightly mischievous. It was truly a game that felt like a standalone Bond film, delivering a fantastic balance of action, gadgets, and varied environments. Nightfire showed that you didn't need a direct movie tie-in to make a compelling Bond experience. It paved the way for games like Everything or Nothing to truly soar with their original narratives. While GoldenEye set the stage for console FPS, Nightfire showed us how deep and diverse a Bond game could be, offering everything from snowy mountain infiltrations to underwater combat. It was a complete package, a polished gem that consistently delivered thrills. It's a reminder that sometimes the most memorable Bond adventures are the ones that forge their own path, rather than just walking in film's footsteps. A game that certainly earned its praise and its repeated mentions. Looking back, it's clear how games like GoldenEye and Everything or Nothing set the stage for future innovation. Now, 007 First Light is aiming to do the same, but for a new generation. With its focus on procedural espionage, social stealth, and gadgets, it's not just following trends, it's hoping to create them. Imagine taking the tactical depth of a modern stealth game, blending it with the charm and sophistication of Bond, and then adding a layer of dynamic storytelling. That's the promise of First Light. It's a departure from the gun-blazing action, bringing Bond back to his roots as a master spy, albeit with a modern, innovative twist. It's about outsmarting your enemies, not just outgunning them. This could be the game that makes us all rethink what a Bond game should be, much like GoldenEye did for its era. The future of Bond gaming looks incredibly intelligent, and we're here for it. Let's hope it delivers on its immense potential. The journey through Bond games is truly an evolution. From the groundbreaking multiplayer of GoldenEye, which truly opened up what a console FPS could be, to the cinematic storytelling and star power of Everything or Nothing, each game has tried to capture a different facet of 007. And now, with 007 First Light, we're seeing a shift towards a more thoughtful, methodical approach to spycraft. It's a testament to the enduring appeal of James Bond that he can adapt and thrive across so many different gaming genres and eras. He's been an FPS hero, a third-person action star, a racer, and now, a master of procedural espionage and social stealth. It's a legacy of innovation, risk-taking, and delivering those iconic Bond thrills in digital form. This isn't just a list of games, it's a testament to the versatility of Bond, a character who truly has a license to thrill, no matter the platform. We've come a long way, baby, and we're still going strong. So there you have it, agents. Our definitive, hilarious, and slightly meta top 10 James Bond games. From the nostalgic highs of GoldenEye to the promising future of 007 First Light, and the cinematic brilliance of Everything or Nothing, it's been a thrilling ride. But we want to hear from you. What's your favorite Bond game? Did we miss a classic? Are you just as excited about procedural espionage as we are? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this mission, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next top secret briefing. Remember, the world needs its Bond, even if sometimes he's just a bunch of polygons on a screen. Keep gaming, keep spying, and we'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay classy, stay lethal, and maybe don't play Oddjob in multiplayer. It's just not fair.